not bent, broken, or cracked. The mirrors are clean, not cracked. I look at my vehicle to see if there's a lean. I have no lean. If I did, I could have either a tire problem, suspension problem, or my load has shifted. I'm now going to look underneath to see if I have any leaks, exposed wires, or hoses. Next, I'm going to open the hood. You open that, this. I'm strong, look at that.
One arm.
One arm. I ain't dropping my coat. All right, when I come to this side, I'm gonna take a look. I have hoses properly mounted and secured at both ends. Not bent, or no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. Come over here, I have my coolant properly mounted and secured. Not bent, broken, or cracked. It is the proper fill level, proper color, no contaminants. I have hoses properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasions, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. I have a cap. It's properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. It has a gasket, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no leaks. I am now going to go to my alternator. Properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All hardware is present. My wire is properly mounted and secured. It's not torn, ripped, or frayed. It is belt driven. My belt is properly mounted and secured. Has between 1/2 and 3/4 inch play. Next, I'm going to go to my water pump. Properly mounted and secured. Not bent, broken, or cracked. No leaks. Hoses to my water pump. Properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No leaks. My water pump is belt driven. My belt is properly mounted and secured. It has 1/2 to 3/4 inch play. That will conclude this side. I can talk about the frame. My frame, properly mounted and secured. Not bent, broken, or cracked. No twists, no illegal welds or holes. If you miss your frame here, you can hit it on the other side. Okay. So now we go to the other side. On this side, we're gonna I start top, bottom, left to right, inside to out. Power steering reservoir, properly mounted and secured. Not bent, broken, or cracked. No leaks. It's at the proper fill level. My cap, properly mounted and secured. Not bent, broken, or cracked. Has a rubber gasket, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts to prevent leaks. I have hoses, properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No leaks. I now go to my oil fill cap, my oil fill tube, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked, no leaks. My cap, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked, has a rubber gasket, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no leaks, to prevent leaks also. My dipstick, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. To check my oil level, I will pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, reinsert, pull it back out, read to see that it is at the proper fill level, no contaminants, and then I would reinsert it. My air compressor is in the back. It's properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. All hoses properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No audible air leaks. My compressor is gear driven. Next, I'm going to come up. Got my power steering pump, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. It is gear driven, no leaks. My hoses properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No leaks. I'm now going to go to my steering shaft, properly mounted and secured with U-joints at both ends. Properly mounted and secured, properly lubricated, not bent, broken, or cracked, has 10 degrees or 10% of free play. Go to my power steering gearbox, properly mounted and secured. All hardware is present. No, not bent, broken, or cracked. Hoses are properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts. No leaks. My pitman arm, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. Secured with a castle nut and cotter pin. My drag link, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. Secured with castle nut and cotter pins, properly lubricated. Upper control arm, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. Secured with cotter pin and castle nut. Back here you have your lower control arm, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. Secured with castle nut and cotter pin, properly lubricated. Tie rod, properly mounted and secured at both ends with castle nut and cotter pins, not bent, broken, or cracked, properly lubricated. Next, I have my spring mount, properly mounted and secured at both ends, not bent, broken, or cracked. My leaf springs, properly mounted and secured at both ends, not bent, broken, or cracked. My U-bolts, properly mounted and secured at both ends, properly mounted and secured. All hardware is present, not bent, broken, or cracked. Shock absorber, properly mounted and secure at both ends. Rubber bushings are intact, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. Not bent, broken, or cracked, no leaks. My air hose, properly mounted and secured at both ends. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts, no audible air leaks. Brake chamber, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked, no audible air leaks. Slack adjuster, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. Push rod, properly mounted and secured with clevis pins and cotter pins. Not bent, broken, or cracked. No more than 1 inch of play when the brakes are disengaged. If I try and pull it now, nothing's gonna happen. Next, I go to my brake drum. Properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. No illegal welds or holes. No bluing from excessive heat. My brake pads, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. No less than 1/4 inch of material, no grease or debris. My inside wheel, properly mounted and secured to the axle, not bent, broken, or cracked. No illegal welds or holes. My inner tire wall, properly mounted and secured to the rim, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. My tire tread, I will have 4 30-seconds tread depth. Check it with a tread depth gauge. My outside tire wall, properly mounted and secured to the rim, no abrasion, bulges, or cuts. My wheel, properly mounted and secured to the axle, not bent, broken, or cracked. No illegal welds or holes. I have 10 lug nuts, properly mounted and secured. Not bent, broken, or cracked. No sign of spidering, silver threads, or rust trails that would indicate a loose lug nut. My wheel seal, properly mounted and secured. All hardware is present, not bent, broken, or cracked. No leaks. My valve stem, properly mounted and secured, not bent, broken, or cracked. Has a metal cap with a rubber gasket. No abrasion, bulges, or cuts to prevent leaks. That is the end of just doing the cap, the engine cap.